A $6 billion slash to NASA's budget. Thousands of jobs on the line. Iconic missions facing cancellation. This isn't a sci-fi plot. It's the stark reality of America's space program today. The world is watching as the US makes one of its most consequential space policy decisions in decades. The future of exploration hangs in the balance, and for the first time in a generation, America's place among the stars may no longer be guaranteed. In May 2025, the Trump administration unveiled a fiscal plan that could redefine America's role in space. With a proposed 24% reduction in NASA's budget, the agency faces its most significant financial challenge since 1961, the year John F. Kennedy set the bold course to the moon. Back then, the stakes were about beating the Soviets. Today, they're about preserving decades of scientific leadership, global trust, and a sense of possibility. The implications? Potential termination of groundbreaking missions, a workforce reduction by nearly 1/3, and a shift in focus that could alter the trajectory of space exploration for decades. From schoolchildren dreaming of becoming astronauts to international partners relying on American leadership, the ripple effects are immense. This isn't just a pivot, it's a seismic shift in how the US chooses to engage with the final frontier. The proposed budget reduces NASA's funding from $24.8 billion to $18.8 billion, marking a $6 billion cut. This drastic reduction would impact over 5,500 jobs, including nearly 700 positions at Houston's Johnson Space Center, one of NASA's historical nerve centers, where human spaceflight operations have been directed for decades. For every badge scanned at that facility, there are families, neighborhoods, and economies depending on stability. This is not just a blow to institutional memory, but to communities that have grown around space science. Generations of engineers, technicians, and researchers, many of whom have dedicated their lives to the vision of spaceflight, are suddenly staring down professional uncertainty. They are the silent force behind historic moments. The people who built the Mars rovers, kept astronauts safe on the ISS, and made the Artemis moon program possible. Key programs like the Orion spacecraft and the Lunar Gateway space station, both cornerstones of the Artemis program, are slated for cancellation after the Artemis III mission in 2027. The Gateway, envisioned as a staging platform for deep space missions, may never see completion. Without it, future lunar and Martian missions may lack vital infrastructure. The cut also reaches deep into the science sector, with $3.4 billion removed from research and development funding. That reduction is expected to shut down 41 projects, 19 of which are still active and delivering valuable data. From Earth science satellites monitoring climate change to astrophysics missions searching for habitable exoplanets, every cut represents lost knowledge. Entire fields of inquiry risk stagnation. Although a new $350 million Mars technology program is slated for development, co-led by Johnson and Marshall Space Flight Centers, experts like Casey Dreyer of the Planetary Society warn that focusing too heavily on Mars may be politically short-sighted. Programs like these often suffer from a lack of long-term commitment, he explained, and betting it all on Mars leaves us vulnerable if priorities shift again. That vulnerability, Dreyer argues, could jeopardize the very public trust that has fueled NASA's rise for decades. The budget's emphasis on Mars exploration reallocates over $1 billion to fast-track a crewed mission to the Red Planet. But that Mars-centric pivot comes at the expense of missions with proven scientific value. The Mars Sample Return mission, poised to retrieve the first samples collected by the Perseverance rover, is now facing possible cancellation. This mission was expected to revolutionize our understanding of Martian geology and the possibility of ancient life. Scrapping it would leave a scientific and symbolic void, Meanwhile, New Horizons, which gave us our first close-up of Pluto, and Juno, currently revealing Jupiter's secrets, are among several extended missions marked for shutdown. These are not just costly line items, they are historic endeavors yielding discoveries that textbooks will teach for generations. Data from Juno has reshaped our understanding of gas giants. New Horizons continues to explore the Kuiper Belt, territory humanity had never before reached. The science returned from these missions has shaped everything from planetary formation theories to understanding cosmic radiation. Cutting them now could permanently sever the scientific momentum they've built and sever the institutional capacity that has taken decades to develop. The proposed budget also signals a dramatic philosophical shift. After Artemis III, NASA would no longer be the primary developer of deep space hardware. Instead, it would rely entirely on commercially owned and operated spacecraft. The Space Launch System, SLS, NASA's flagship heavy-lift rocket, and the Orion crew capsule would be shelved, even though billions have already been invested in them. While privatization offers benefits, agility, cost competitiveness, and innovation, it also raises concerns about consistency, transparency, and long-term vision. What happens if a private contractor fails? Who ensures mission continuity? Private companies may not be bound by the same international agreements or driven by the same long-term goals. International partners like the European Space Agency, which co-invested in Gateway and Orion, could reconsider future collaborations. National prestige and global leadership are also on the line. Critics are blunt. This budget thinks that the cosmos is nothing more than the Moon and Mars, said Casey Dreyer. It disregards the rich diversity of scientific inquiry that has defined NASA's legacy. The solar system is more than 2 destinations, and cutting funding now limits not only where we go, but what we learn along the way. The backlash has been swift. Lawmakers from both parties have raised alarms, not only about the science being lost, but the human toll. Families, careers, entire communities supported by NASA infrastructure. For cities like Houston and Huntsville, where spaceflight centers are economic lifelines, the cuts could be devastating. The message to young scientists? Space is no longer a stable future. There's also geopolitical significance. As China ramps up its own lunar ambitions with its Chang'e missions and aims to establish a moon base by the early 2030s, America's drawdown could signal retreat. Russia, India, and the European Union are watching closely as alliances and competitive edges shift. Space supremacy is not just about national pride. It's about securing critical technologies, surveillance capabilities, and economic opportunity. The political backdrop is complex. Jared Isaacman, the billionaire pilot who led the first private SpaceX mission and was nominated to lead NASA, abruptly withdrew his name from consideration. His decision, reportedly due to past political affiliations and scrutiny over campaign donations, adds uncertainty to the agency's direction. Isaacman was expected to push further into commercial space partnerships. His absence creates a vacuum in leadership at a time when NASA needs clarity more than ever. Meanwhile, internal morale is low. NASA employees have expressed confusion, anxiety, and frustration over the unclear future of long-standing projects and the shifting mission directives. Some fear a brain drain as experienced engineers and scientists seek more stable roles in the private sector. Others worry that younger generations, those just entering aerospace careers, will see this as a sign to turn elsewhere, stunting the next wave of space innovation. The cumulative effect. A space agency adrift, caught between political calculation and visionary ambition. As the debate over NASA's funding unfolds, one truth is impossible to ignore. The choices made in Washington today will shape humanity's path to the stars for decades to come. Will we retreat from the edge of discovery or recommit to leading it? Will the Artemis generation be a footnote or the start of something extraordinary? This is more than a budget debate. It's a defining moment for science, exploration, and the role America chooses to play on the cosmic stage. What happens next won't just affect rockets. It will determine whether the US remains a beacon for exploration or fades from the vanguard of discovery. The stars may be distant, but the consequences are arriving fast. For those who believe in a future beyond Earth, your voice matters. Subscribe to stay informed and to help keep space exploration moving forward.